rev up your engines. Today I'm going to talk about 5 things that you can do to your car to make it last almost forever. Now, as crazy as it sounds, worn out coolant through electrolysis can create battery power, make a little voltage, and conduct electricity, and really mess with the sensors in a modern car. Now, in this old 94 Celica, I've got the positive and negative terminals inside the coolant, so they're touching the coolant, and you can see it's 0.094 volts. As long as it's under 0.30 of a volt, it's perfectly fine. It's not going to hurt anything. We'll check out this 2007 Toyota Matrix and see what it puts out. As you can see, it's even less. It's 0.011, which doesn't surprise me at all because the Celica had the old green antifreeze. This has the modern Toyota HOT, hybrid organic acid technology. It lasts longer and it has less problems with electrolysis than the older coolants did. And it's a good thing it does, because with all the electronics on modern cars, any stray voltage or electrolysis in the cooling system can make the electronics go haywire. Make sure you have clean coolant in your car. Those old engines were cast iron. Cast iron's going to rust. Now they're cast aluminum, but still, aluminum can corrode just as bad as iron can rust. You want to make sure you keep clean coolant in your vehicle. There's a whole bunch of coolants out there, so you have to research what your car has and how long it lasts. For example, this Peak Long Life, look, it's good for 150,000 miles or 5 years. And some cars use a HOT coolant. Some of those are good for 7 years or 200,000 miles. They can last a long time, so check to see what your vehicle has in it. Now, the next thing to do to keep your car lasting forever is, hey, check your battery every once in a while, especially one that's a few years old. It's a simple, fast test. You can easily check your battery and alternator. And as we can see here, it shows that the battery's normal, doesn't have any problems. Now, you might think battery schmattery, it starts the car. Who cares if it goes out, I'll just buy another one. But it's not that simple with modern cars. All the computers and electronics run off batteries. And if the battery has low voltage, has a problem inside, it can end up destroying not just your alternator, but your computer. You can get voltage surges. It's very important in a modern car to have a good, healthy battery. So checking it every once in a while, especially before cold winter weather, is a must, so you don't create problems that you could easily have solved by just putting another battery in. And like I said, if you don't trust anybody, hey, get a machine like this and check it yourself every once in a while. With the price of batteries as high as they are these days, sometimes they're close to $200 for just a plain old one. Why not get a machine to check it yourself? You can use this on all your vehicles. Now, the next thing to make your car last almost forever is spark plugs. Now, decades ago, spark plugs were pretty simple. If they'd wear out, the car would run bad, and they might wear out in 30 or 40,000 miles because the electrodes are made out of copper. Now, copper, of course, conducts electricity really well, so it sparks good. But it's relatively soft, and it wears out too fast. So they went to platinum, that's stronger and lasts longer. And a lot of the modern cars use iridium plugs that wear out the slowest. But even they eventually wear out over time. You get a little gauge to see what the gap is. As they wear, the gap gets bigger and bigger. And as it gets bigger, it strains the electronic system to make the spark go. Now, since the iridium ones last so long, I've seen some GM products that had 200,000 miles with the original spark plugs. But it isn't that smart to leave them in that long, because as I said, eventually the gap starts wearing. It needs more electricity to jump that. Starts straining it. And not only could that ruin your expensive computer ignition system, if it's making the car run too lean, it can ruin the catalytic converter, do all kinds of damage just because the spark plugs are worn out. You want to change them when they need changing, but they're pretty easy to check. Just pull one out and measure the gap. If the gap is within, say, 5/1000ths of an inch of factory, it's still probably okay. But let's say 40/1000ths of an inch and now it's 70/1000ths of an inch, it's definitely time to change your spark plugs. And in most cases, hey, It's a pretty simple job to do. It's not rocket science. And always use the correct spark plugs for your car. Really, the original equipment ones are generally the best. They're set up for that. Don't fall for some of these sucker baits of, here's a brand new spark plug, you're going to get more horsepower. No, it's a bunch of nonsense. They just fire to burn the gasoline, and the ones that they were designed for generally work the best. Now, the next thing to make your car last forever, of course, is to change the oil regularly. This 94 Celica, hey, I change the oil at every 3,000 or 4,000 miles. The engine's got 240,000 miles on it. Doesn't really burn any oil. Yeah, I got to put half a quart in every 3,000 miles. That's not bad. And it's all because the oil's been changed and kept clean over the years. So don't be fooled by some of these manufacturers' claims that say they have an oil that'll last 20,000 miles or change your oil every 15,000 miles. Clean oil is the best thing to make your engine last forever. Their warranties are long gone when they have over 100,000 miles on them. But hey, if you want to get hundreds of thousands of miles out of your car, change the oil frequently. Now, the last thing to keep your car running as long as possible with the least amount of money spent on repairs is to make sure all your other fluids stay clean and healthy, like power steering fluid and brake fluid. Now, these fluids don't need much maintenance. They can last a long time. But if you're like me, and when you keep your car for hundreds of thousands of miles, every once in a while, you need to flush those fluids out and put new fluid in. Because really, brake fluid, it costs almost nothing. And the same thing for power steering fluid. Flush out the whole system and put in new fluid. Hey, maybe it's going to cost you $15 or something if you do it yourself. But if you don't want your car to run forever, you want to change them every so often. Brake fluid is hygroscopic. It absorbs water vapor. Then it starts to corrode stuff. Power steering fluid, hey, some of those things are 1,700 pounds square inch pressure. That's a lot of pressure. They get dirt inside. Eventually they get dirty enough. That pressure turns dirty fluid with friction into a cutting fluid. And it'll lead to seals. It'll lead up the rack. You can spend thousands of dollars fixing that stuff that, hey, $15 worth of fluid changed every so many years can save you from that hassle in the first place. Now, granted, if you're the type of person that gets rid of your cars every 6 or 7 years, you probably don't even have to mess with the power steering fluid or the brake fluid. Most cars that'll last that long with no problems at all. But if you want to keep them forever, you want to keep those fluids clean. Not taking care of your car and expecting it to last 200,000-300,000 miles or long, hey, that's a bad thing. So take my advice and do these 5 things to your car if you want to keep them forever. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.